When you're building a culture of belonging, every word counts. That's why Textio brings the world's most advanced language insights into your hiring and employer brand content. Our industry-leading approach to artificial intelligence and machine learning provides the tools needed to find more diverse candidates. In short, Textio builds more equitable workspaces, guiding businesses and writing more inclusive job posts. And we're building on that success by bringing even more products to the market for all people who share our belief that language matters. Words have power, and at Textio, we harness that power to increase the access and availability of value-driven work for everyone.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to The Break Room. The Break Room is a podcast by a Black mental health professional and a Black mental health researcher for Black professionals with a mission to remind you that you matter, you're valuable, and your wellness and joy are a priority for liberation. My name is Dr. Olajide Bamishigbin. I'm a health psychologist and I work in the health equity space. I'm also married to my beautiful wife and I have two wonderful kids. Kicking it over to Dr. Nikki.
Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Nikki. I'm a licensed psychologist in the red state of Texas. I'm trying to make a way every day to continue to live as a free Black woman and raise a free Black child. I have a practice that focuses on Black folks' relational and sexual wellness and racial equity and Black mental wellness in small to mid-sized organizations. And I, as ever, am excited to be here as co-host of The Break Room.
Yes. So if you're a new listener, you know what we usually do is first we'll sip some tea and start with a little current event or something that's happening, right? Sipping tea in the break room. Then we'll talk about our topic for the day. And then we'll get into the last nerve, something that's getting on our last nerve. All right. Yes. So the tea for today is a really important film is coming out very soon.
Yay!
Right? So yeah, and I'm excited. I think it's like I remember when, so the film was Black Panther 2, Wakanda Forever.
Wakanda Forever.
I'm very excited for it. Do you remember when the first one came out? Do you remember how Black people showed up?
Do I remember? Baby, we showed up and showed out. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I remember all of it. I remember seeing it for the first time. I remember weeping. I remember being overwhelmed by just the awe of it. I remember everybody wanting to move to Wakanda afterwards. Dads and mentors and mentees, buying out auditoriums for folks to go see. It was a shared Black experience. It was one of those sort of for me, iconic moments, and to remind us that yes, we are not a monolith, but we still are very much a connected community, right? That we got that excited about it.
I think I would venture to say that the way we showed up for the first Black Panther, we haven't had energy like that since OJ got off. Okay, like a black.
I thought you were going to say since Obama got elected. I thought you were going to talk about that.
No, not even then. I think I'm thinking OJ. It's not that OJ's a good person. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that energy was something else.
It really was. So Wakanda Forever, Black Panther 2 is finally coming out. It's actually coming out very soon to our taping this. So November 11th. What I had heard on the internets was that we were supposed to wear white. We were supposed to wear all white when we go to see the film. We were supposed to show out again as we did, because a lot of us pulled out African garb, Ankara prints, that folks that never owned a dashiki went and found some stuff to wear to go see
in their entire lives. Yep.
Yes. So the request was for all white this time, but I am super, super excited. I won't get to go see it on opening night. I'm hoping I can actually go on the weekend though. And I hope I can take my daughter. She's older now. She was too young to sit through a film that long. And I didn't think she would really appreciate it, honestly. When the first movie came out, and she's a talker, y'all, she is a talker. There is not a movie this child can sit through and not talk. So I was like, let me not set myself up to be irritated. But I think with this one,
right.
she can go with me. So I'm excited to go do that. because we need some joy. We need some.
Mm-hmm.
We need something celebratory, because I feel like it's been a long slog of the past 4 or 5 years.
You also mentioned that there's a podcast.
Oh, yes.
So
someone shared with me recently. There's a podcast. I don't know if it's on Spotify. I know it's on Apple Podcasts, and it's a podcast, Wakanda Forever, hosted by Ta-Nehisi Coates, and it's going to follow sort of the making of the film, the story of the whole Black Panther experience, the release of the film. So it's going to be several episodes, and the first episode came out. I highly recommend you go check it out. It was such a powerful, moving conversation. It is it's an intimate conversation between Ta-Nehisi Coates and Ryan Coogler, the film's director, and in it they really like uplift and really venerate Chadwick Boseman, and I
Rest in peace.
Cannot think of very many media pieces of any kind where you've had two Black men have such an intimate, intellectual, reflective, vulnerable conversation with each other and about another Black man. It's a really, really powerful piece of media. So, yeah.
I really don't think Black men have been the same since Chadwick Boseman died. Like since Black Panther died.
Say more, G-Day.
Like
say more.
He represented something. He's our Black Panther, right? And the thing about Chadwick Boseman, nobody ever had a negative word to say about that man.
None.
Okay? Out of all the things he's worked on, right? He's been in the Hollywood industry for years. Not one person could ever say a negative thing about that man, And, I remember when he passed, and it was just really sad.
Yeah.
It was just really, really sad.
Yeah. I'm not one to really get
the same sense.
Yeah, I'm not one to really be moved a lot by celebrity deaths, but there was something there is something particularly powerful about Chadwick Boseman and his impact, and check out the podcast. It's a really, really beautiful tribute, but it felt like, listening to it, it almost felt like I was eavesdropping on a conversation between brothers, quite frankly, because they both had experiences with him and had close relationships with him at different points in his life. And it's just highly moving. So even if you don't go see the film, I don't know why you wouldn't, because it was a international
right.
mega million box office success. But even if you don't go see the film, at the very least, I think check out that first podcast episode. It'll move you in a really, really beautiful way. So rest in peace, Chadwick.
Thanks for that recommendation, Dr. Nikki.
Yes. So today, G-Day, we're going to move into our topic, which is about tokenism. For folks who might not be familiar with the term, I feel like maybe Gen Z might not be familiar with that term. What is tokenism? What is a token, G-Day?
What is a token? So the way that it's commonly used is like, you're the token Black person, right? Like in a space where maybe there's not that much diversity, right? You're one of the few people who are supposed to represent racial diversity, right? So if you're the token Black person, you might be the only Black kid in class, right? And they expect you to behave in ways that are stereotypical of Black people, right? Like I listen to hip hop and I dress this way and I watch this and I do that, right? So that's what it means. Like the token Black person is the friend when a white person says, "Oh, I have a Black friend."
Yes.
Right? Yeah, I know Black people. I have a Black friend, right? So what exactly is it? That's a good question.
So the token also sort of acts as like a white excuse, like a pass, like a token is, I have lots of Black friends, right? The token is, oh, we're gonna put you on this committee, and likely the committee is about something related to diversity or inclusion or something like that, right? And so you were put there as a placeholder. That's what the token means, right? It gives the illusion of inclusion. And it's a very precarious position to be put in as a Black person, particularly in the workplace. I think it's a complicated sort of experience, right?
I think you're set up to fail if you're a token.
Oh, it's a lose-lose.
You cannot win.
Oh, it's for sure a lose-lose. Like it because by virtue of the fact of you being the sole representative, you are boxed in by stereotypes. And so if you adhere to the stereotypes, there are not very many positive stereotypes of Black folks. Like, let's start there.
So I looked it up, and I want to give you the actual definition of tokenism.
Okay, let's do it.
Like the Cambridge or Oxford Dictionary, okay? Tokenism is the practice of making, and I'll translate this into regular English too for you. The practice of making only a perfunctory or symbolic effort to do a particular thing.
Yes.
Especially by recruiting a small number of people from underrepresented groups in order to give the appearance of sexual or racial equality within a workforce, right? So essentially, hey, we're going to hire this Black person to be the chief diversity officer so we can say we do diversity work.
Ding!
That's an example.
It's like the other side of performative allyship. It's performative inclusion, right? And it's been around for forever. So, but here's the thing. I know it's not true of everyone, to be clear. I know it's not true of everyone. But in a lot of professional spaces, your Blackness is not divested from your role as the employee, right?
Impossible.
Right. And so whether you adhere to respectability politics or not, by virtue of being the token, you are under a more critical lens, like you're under the microscope. There is a sense of responsibility, whether you commit to that or not, right? Whether you're accountable to that sense or not, you feel that sense of responsibility to represent some particular viewpoint when you're in that role. And there can sometimes be a sense of like loyalty about how can I leverage this quote unquote seat at the table for the benefit of me and other folks that look like me in this workspace. So being a token is a shit opportunity. Like, it's like, you know, would I rather be put in a position based on my merits, my competencies, my potential? Absolutely. Does that always happen for Black folks in the workplace? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And so it does sort of put you in I think for me, this is another example of like that catch-22 racism that I talk about. Like, if you perform as the token, you're doomed. And if you don't perform as the token, you're doomed, right? The system in and of itself doesn't give you much opportunity to be an individual in your own right, because it only functions to serve to sort of put you in this one particular box.
Yeah. It's not a fun place to be in.
I was going to say, have you ever been a token in the workplace? Have you been a token and then not realize you were the token?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. And part of being the token, unfortunately, is like they want you to be the person, to be the voice of like whatever group, right? But they don't actually want to hear the voice of that group.
Yes.
Right? Like the reality is they don't actually want to hear what you have to say about whatever the issues that you're confronting are.
Yes. Yeah.
What about you? Have you?
I've been hired twice. Both of my academic positions were because of tokenism. Now, they didn't call them that. They call them diversity hires, and they call them opportunity hires and all of this sort of stuff. But that's essentially what tokenism is, right? So when I was my first tenure track gig was at the University at Albany SUNY system, and it was an off-cycle hire. Particularly, they knew they had very few faculty of color broadly right across the institution. And the counseling psychology department was housed in the School of Education. And, you know, Black folks have a long history of being represented in educational spaces in academia, right? And so they had lost one. One woman had just left, and they were like, we can't have a whole school of education and we can't be counseling psychology and not have any. And so that's how I was hired, and it was miserable. It's one of the worst professional experiences I have ever had.
Wow.
And it took a toll on me physically, psychologically. It was just a horrible situation. I was reminded regularly that I was the token. One of my quote unquote colleagues told me, we love having you here, Nikki. And I don't just say that because you're Black. You're really funny too. Like, yes. In front of students. Yes. By way of compliment. I remember sitting in a college faculty meeting, and they wanted to hire somebody else, and somebody around the table said, why don't we go after one of those diversity hires? And the department chair said, yeah, we can kill two birds with one stone with that. And then I leaned in her eyesight because they forgot I was there. And she was like,
wow.
I mean, it's a wonderful opportunity for us to capitalize on our mission to diversify the School of Education. That's what I meant, right?
Right.
I have been there before. And then when I went to the University of Houston, when I applied, it was an open call for assistant professors, right? But it was me and one other candidate, and they actually ended up hiring both of us. And so on the one hand, you could say, Dr. Nikki, you were that phenomenal that they couldn't pass up on the opportunity. On the other hand, I could say I was the first Black woman to get tenure in that college. So there's that other thing as well.
So I think the thing about being a token and what you're pointing out is that sometimes multiple things can be true at the same time, right? So because to be Black and to get a job, you have to you cannot miss one of those qualifications. Okay, you have to hit every single qualification plus 10 other unwritten ones.
Yes,
right. If you want a job as a Black person, so you probably actually are the most qualified person for this role, right? And you actually will do good work, and you've done good work in the past, right?
Yes.
But they don't actually care. They don't actually care about the expertise or what you actually bring or to change so they brought you in to change, but they don't actually want to change.
Oh, absolutely not. Right. But that's what I mean about the complicated position, right? Because I wanted a tenure track position. So I'm going to turn down the opportunity. Well, that's dumb. Right. So now I'm in the space.
Right.
And the craziest thing, Jide, so Houston, right? One of the most diverse cities in the country. When I first got hired, at UH, like literally I'm just setting up my office. I just had throngs of Black students from across the campus coming by my office, just like looking at me. They were like, we heard they hired a Black woman. We heard, like, it was news and information that I had been hired.
Yep.
And so there's that responsibility.
That was also my experience
part.
As a professor.
Say it again.
Yep. I said that was also my experience as a professor. All of us, and then that adds extra burden, and like respectfully, and you could love the students, right? Like you don't want to take that away, but now all of a sudden you're responsible for all these Black students,
absolutely,
who view you as their only chance, right? It's a lot of pressure.
It is a lot of pressure, whether you want to and that's what I mean about it being a catch-22, right? It doesn't really matter what I want to do in that role or what is best suited for me. I'm now in a position where I am being perceived through these lenses, and I have to respond to those perceptions one way or the other, right? And oftentimes trying to find that sense of balance between like really having your own sense of integrity, wanting to show up in a space that in a way that feels authentic, but also recognizing there's all of these competing interests that are impinging on my like every word and how I respond, right? Because it also there's this sense of if I fuck it up, maybe they won't hire any more Black people, right? Like that's way too much of a burden to be put on anyone, and yet we know it happens on a regular basis. Basis.
It's no fun.
I think the best that you can do if you are put in that position is to, one, like acknowledge it, right? To get real clear about that's what your role is. And then at least what I tried to do was always try to find the balance for me between what my particular needs were. Like I was always thinking about, okay, what do I need for my own success, professional development, well-being in this space? And how can I optimize this experience to make sure that I at least get that first? And then what are the other ways that I can augment this experience or use it as an opportunity to leverage something for someone that comes behind me, right? And I think that is the best that you can do in those sorts of situations.
And I think you need to identify it as early as possible.
Yes.
Okay. Like every day, every hour you wait to realize that you're the token is another second you're being taken advantage of in a way that you shouldn't be. Right.
Yes.
So there are ways, like if you're going to be hired as in this role as a Black person, I need my team. Yes. I'm not coming in without a team of people that I can hire myself. So you can, build that safety around you, right? That's one of the reasons why lots of universities do cluster hires now, right? Mm-hmm. So at least you're not coming in by yourself. You can come in with a group of people. So, there's always power in numbers, right?
Yes.
So
we're looking at you, Black ERGs.
Identify it early.
We're looking at you, Black ERGs. There is power in numbers. Yep. Yeah. There's actually a really good, there's a really good little kind of soapy, but also I think accurate, drama on Netflix called The Partner Track. The main character is a Korean, American woman, but she is completely tokenized, right? And it takes her a long time to realize that all of these things that she has, convinced herself she needs to do to be successful in this space were really just adhering to stereotypes and the puppet strings were being pulled by the white folks in charge. And mm-hmm. I think that your point exactly, Jide, is like, let's be really clear about, the role that you're serving. Like, don't lie to yourself, right? They can be lying to themselves, but don't lie to yourself. Don't underestimate, sort of the fact that there are going to be additional eyes on you, that the work that you do in those spaces is going to be differently scrutinized, that the opportunity for your contributions to be misunderstood or misconstrued, right, are all at a higher level. And mm-hmm. that you have to be, I always say you have to be really self-centered and make sure that you are clear about what you need to be successful in a space first, and then figure out how to contribute to the organization in a way that is meaningful, impactful, and that allows you to keep your job. But if you're not aware of that, the opportunity for you to sort of get run ragged or to be have your opinions undermined or contributions undermined or even have them stolen. That's a whole other podcast we could have, where people steal your work in the workplace, steal your ideas, right? I think the opportunity for those things are that much higher when you're not self-aware of the role that you're playing.
Agreed.
So.
Agreed. Well, thank you. Did you have another topic, another comment on tokenism?
No, I was just going to say you might not have the opportunity to make a decision about whether you will or will not be a token, but you do have the opportunity to make a decision about how you are a token.
Yep. And ways to empower yourself.
Yes.
Yep.
100%.
So, thank you for bringing up this topic, Dr. Nikki. So let's move on to our last nerve. Okay. And today, I believe we're going to be talking about the fact that perhaps one of the worst people in the world to own a social media site now owns one of the largest ones. Like, I can't imagine a worse person owning Twitter than Elon Musk. So what are your thoughts on it in just the last few weeks?
I'm not even a big Twitter user. I have probably one of the world's tiniest Twitter followings. I've said here before, I find Twitter intimidating and overwhelming and sometimes quite frankly frightening. Mm-hmm. So I don't do too much on Twitter. But Elon Musk shouldn't be in charge of any sort of forward facing social media platform. Like, he should. Let me take a breath.
Because can I say something?
Yes.
So one thing that I always want to mention about Elon Musk whenever we talk about him is the fact that at his Tesla plant, there was an area where they put black workers that they called the plantation, and they called them monkeys in the N-word. Okay. And that's a fact.
I didn't
okay,
know they was
Tesla
calling people monkeys, G-Day. What?
And they called it the plantation. Yeah. So he owned that space, that company, right? That did that. And now he owns Twitter, and he's come out and has already said, like, I'm going to let free speech happen, right? Like, I'm going to let free speech happen, right? But I can't imagine a worse person owning it.
So I've just been hearing all the controversy. I've heard some of the bigger accounts and celebrities saying, I'm gonna be out for just a little bit. Let me see what he gonna do. All of that stuff about him charging people money to be verified, right, to have their blue check. There's the
he fundamentally misunderstands Twitter. You don't drive Twitter. The people tweeting drive Twitter. That 10% of users who use Twitter all day, every day, that's the people you need to respect.
Right.
Right? But
that's not even in his worldview to think like that.
Right. No.
That's not even in his worldview.
He came in and laid off half the employees. He laid off 3,700 people. He came in and laid off 3,700 people and didn't even sign his name on it. Right, he just put Twitter under the signature for you're getting laid off. Right?
Oh my God!
Yeah,
trash, trash.
Yeah,
there's a level of depravity that just automatically exists when you become a cishet, exorbitantly wealthy white man, because literally there's no safeguards on you. There's no sanctioning. There's no limitations on what you can be. And so it's like humanity run amok to the point where it's completely unrecognizable. And so, no, you can't be in charge.
You can even become the president of the United States after being caught on audio talking about grabbing women by their private parts.
After so many things, right?
That's just one that happened such immediately before that. I always point to that one, but
at least Elon Musk got the money to back it up. That other thing don't even really have money. We don't even know. We don't even know if he has.
He inflates how much money he has.
Absolutely. I think the much bigger picture is we have become over reliant on social media. We underutilize its functions, and now we're in a place where it's created these billionaires who are so detached from reality, and yet so much of our realities are intertwined with these platforms. And so I think we have to do some real critical thinking and some self-awareness around how much do we want to continue to interface with these spaces in which we don't really have control, and where people who have no sense of reality, no ability to even understand you or IGD, like no ability to even comprehend us as people. We're just data points and nothing more. And it's just an opportunity for him to play. I feel like he bought Twitter as just like a big toy for him. He's going to play with it until he gets bored. And none of us will come out unscathed on the other side of it. I hope maybe the good thing is like he gets bored sooner rather than later and tries to sell it off. Is that a possibility?
Who wants to buy it? Like from the way he's going to ruin it, like who's going to want to buy it?
It's going to be like MySpace.
It's
going to be
exactly.
Friendster.
Sell for $5. So.
Oh my gosh.
We'll see.
Be careful out here in the real streets and the social media streets. Every place is treacherous. Make some time this week for sure for Black Joy. Go watch Wakanda Forever. Do something lovely for yourself. You have earned it. And we will see you or talk to you or be with you for the next episode of The Break Room. Peace.
Take it easy.
Living Corporate is brought to you by Doximity. Over 90% of graduating medical students join Doximity to use our tools before earning their doctoral degree. As medicine's largest network, there's an elevated level of responsibility to everything we do. We don't take that responsibility lightly and are committed to working towards a more equitable world inside and beyond our virtual office walls. If you want to learn more about Doximity, make sure you go to your app store, type in DOXIMITY. That's DOXIMITY.